Doesn't that sound wonderful? My dream, you guys, from the time I was a little girl, from the time I was 12 years old, was to do this, to work in television news. I was absolutely fascinated by it, which meant all through high school, all through college, I worked so hard, nose to the grindstone, never straying or doing anything I shouldn't do, because I had my eye on the prize, which was this, which meant this little bit of a social life. Yeah, even during spring breaks and weekends, I spent them knocking on the doors of TV stations and radio stations saying, please, please let me in. I will do anything. I'll stink and mop the floors if you could just give me some information and teach me about broadcast journalism. And you know what? It paid off. Yeah, I know a lot of you understand that commitment, but it paid off about 2 months after I graduated from college. Well, I got to work. I got that first job. Yes, maybe my dream is coming to reality, to fruition. And I start working in TV news and I realized real quickly, holy moly, this is tough. Yeah, when you start in TV news, and for some people, for most of their career in TV news, you move from city to city to city, leaving behind family and friends again and again. You work nights, weekends, holidays, news keeps on going. You work out in the snow and the sleet and the rain and the blistering heat. Someone's got to do it. And I can't tell you how many times I had to hide behind police car doors because I'm covering a standoff with the bad guys. And I know that bullets could start flying at any minute. Yeah. And the money in TV news, when you start, oh, let me tell you, it is a joke. So the more I soaked this all in, that this is the reality of being in TV news and living my dream, it occurred to me for sure. I love it. And I wanted it absolutely to be my forever and for all to see. And I knew if I worked long enough and hard enough, eventually it would have to get easier. So about 5 years into my career, it started to get easier when I landed my job back here in my home state of Ohio, surrounded again by family and friends. A Monday through Friday job, a pretty cool schedule, an anchor job, so not having to hide behind those police car doors quite as much, and finally making a little cash. And who knew? My Mr. Right would be hiding here in little Youngstown, Ohio. So I got married. You guys, my dream was coming to fruition beyond my expectations. I was so happy, on cloud 9. And then Christmas, 2003, I'm running around taking care of all the odds and ends in our house because we're having the big party. And I noticed there's a message on our answering machine. I'm thinking, hey, maybe it's someone calling to wish us a Merry Christmas or a guest wanting to know what to bring. You guys, when I hit play, life changed forever.
Hey, Rick and Catherine, or should I say Rick and Kathy from Kent. Just want to let you know that the video from Girls Gone Wild has hit the Youngstown area. You're being shown Catherine or Kathy from Kent, as you know. I guess that's your stage name. It's being shown from everywhere from Channel 21 to Irish Bob's to Royal Oaks Bar and Grill. Everyone's seen you in your full attire. Honey, your days are over. You think you're such a prissy little bitch, but your days are over. Have a very Merry Christmas.
And I think usually at this point, I'm hearing a collective, well, sigh. Yeah. You know, even going on 17 years later, every time I hear that message, which is often because I use it with every speech I give, I have to say, my heart sinks a little bit. Every time I hear that message, I kind of hate myself all over again. And even all this time later, I don't know who left that message, but I knew exactly what she was talking about right away. She was talking about that night on vacation in Key West, Florida with my husband. We were there to celebrate a couple of things. First of all, our 1-year anniversary. Yay. And secondly, that I was still alive. You see, earlier that year, I'd suffered a life-threatening lung illness. I went from running a marathon to a hospital bed, unable to speak a full sentence without breathing treatments, to lung surgery in a matter of only a few weeks. It kind of made the open heart surgery I had just a couple of years before that, because of a surprise hole in my heart, seem actually not that bad, especially when I asked my lung specialist, am I going to survive? all he could say was, one day at a time, dear. Oh, you guys, those were some long days of not knowing, about 3 months worth actually, before it was finally determined this experimental drug therapy I was on, it was working. It was my only hope, and it was working. And yeah, I'm going to survive. So heck yeah, my husband and I, we pack our bags and head down south to some badly needed healing sunshine in Key West, Florida. And it happens to be spring break time. So we're walking down that main strip, Duval Street. Some of you might be familiar with that. And oh my goodness, even though I'm still on heavy medication and still fighting the disease, I'm soaking it all in. We've got all these young people, college students running around having such a great time, the music coming in from all the bars, and just this beautiful breeze going over the island. And I think, oh, life is good. And I think, and I've got yet another chance at it. And I turn to my husband, I say, I'm going to live it to the fullest. I'm going to go do things I would have never done before. That night, we walk into a bar that we then find out is going to have a wet t-shirt contest of all things. I've never been seen a wet t-shirt contest, this goody two shoes, and neither had my husband. All right, at least that's what he says. And then this guy gets on the stage and he starts soliciting women to take part. And I'm thinking, I'm going to do things I would have never done before. I'm in my 30s, mind you. And I hear myself say, I'll do it. Oh yeah. What was I thinking? I did it. And this whole thing just got absolutely out of hand, out of control. I'll never forget that walk back to our hotel room. I was in tears that I could get so caught up in something, and my husband felt just as bad. So we made a pact. We would leave it in Key West, learn from it, and never do anything like that again. Now, I wasn't really worried about a bunch of people taking pictures on their cell phones, because back then we had these phones. You guys remember these flip phones? I'm sure some of you do, where yeah, we took pictures, but we didn't really know what to do with these pictures on the cell phones. There was no social media. There was, however, if you guys would go into the chat, there was, however, the foundation of it all. And what is that? The foundation of it all. You know, when I talk to students, high school students, they'll say the foundation of it all is MySpace. That's where it all started. The foundation of it all is, of course, the internet. And little did I know, there were a couple of people there from a couple of significant websites, one similar to Girls Gone Wild, documenting the whole thing with pictures and video. And so what that woman on that phone call was telling me was that these disgraceful pictures of me, these images of me that could ruin me, are now out there forever and for all to see. That choice I made that night in Key West, it cost me my dream job. I was fired. It cost me some friends, and it cost me any sense of self-respect. These pictures in this video, they were going from website to website to website. Going what today we call, what? Anybody? Feel free to chat. What we call viral, of course. Yeah, and comments were pouring in by the hundreds some days. People saying I was stupid and ugly and had no reason to live, and I started to believe them. And before I know it, I'm getting requests from media all around the country, all around the world, my people wanting to interview me with that question, what were you thinking? And there I find myself sitting on the set of Good Morning America, for Pete's sake, across from my idol, Diane Sawyer, sharing my shame with her and the rest of the world, trying to explain my mindset that night, and of course, trying to apologize for that terrible lapse in judgment. We are getting calls from Oprah, from Inside Edition, from the O'Reilly Factor. It goes on and on. You guys, I was the topic of David Letterman's top 10 list. No place to hide, even at home. People would drive by honking their horns, yelling terrible things out their car windows. In this respect, I was being bullied. And when it comes to online, I was being what we call today cyberbullied. And like so many who endure that today, yeah, I wanted to die. And I had a plan on how to make that happen. Luckily, faith, family, and friends to the rescue just in time, not just to help me survive, but to help me find an inner strength to fight back. 3 federal lawsuits later, that's a whole speech in itself. I got control of my life back again. I got copyright ownership to all of those images from Key West, giving me legal means to stop the dissemination and get as much of off the internet as I could. But we all know, once it's out there, it is out there forever and for all to see, no matter how many times you hit delete. And to me, that means that my lawyers can't quite get through to some websites on the deep dark side of the internet. They can't get to some obscure websites overseas. And I had to come to terms with that. But as I was fighting my way back, a TV station in Cleveland recognized what they called my resolve, and they gave me a chance to reclaim my career. So I got back to work, and I'll be forever grateful. But as I was climbing the ladder there, it occurred to me, I wanted to pretend that what I call my naked nightmare, that it never existed, separate myself from this whole craziness. But it occurred to me how much, wow, this thing is actually part of me. It occurred to me how much I learned from it. And it occurred to me how much I don't want it to happen to anyone else. I don't want it to happen to you, Elizabeth, you, Jacqueline. I don't want it to happen to you, Jean. I don't want it to happen to anybody else, or any of your friends, or any of your family, or any of your businesses. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, she's talking about this crazy night in Key West, Florida. Something like that is not going to happen to me. Are you sure? I sure hope not. But you guys, it could be something as simple as having a meltdown on your kids in the grocery store. What does that look like if someone captures that? It could be something as simple as being rude to a store clerk. What do things look like with you when that road rage just gets the best of you? Or how about fighting with a flight attendant? How do things look when you fight with a flight attendant? This woman knows well what that's like. So this woman was a high-level executive working for the state of New York. And she was on this flight, and she was not happy that she was put in the back of the plane. And number 2, she was not happy that she was sat in the row with a crying baby. And so she demanded the flight attendant move her somewhere else. And when the flight attendant couldn't, this woman had a rant, a tantrum, berating the flight attendant and threatening the flight attendant's job. Someone was recording this whole thing, put it up on the internet, and there you go. It went viral. It went viral. And this woman, she's the one who lost her job. Yes, she lost her job, and now, where is she now? No one quite knows. What I'm saying, though, is that it can happen to anybody. No one is immune. You guys, we are all going to do things we regret. We are all going to have those times where we get caught up in the moment. We are all going to make mistakes because we are all, what? I know you're all saying it. We are all human, right? But if there's one thing that I really want you to take from this presentation today, it's to understand we have to have a new mindset, a new awareness about this reality that online or off, there is so little room for that. What was I thinking moment? I know some of these are kind of funny. Before pictures like this could become attached to you forever and for all to see, to your business forever and for all to see, to your friends and family members who you care so much about forever and for all to see. And that is a pretty frightening thought, isn't it? But you know what? I have some good news too. I'm not all about bad news here. The good news is we all have something inside of us, something to protect us from things like that happening in our new digital day of everything, day of digital everything. We all have something inside of us. What is that? Anybody want to add on that? What is that? It is that little voice inside your head that tells you when you shouldn't do something. It is that simple. I've never given so much credit to that voice inside my head until after this awful experience. It's that voice that tells you, don't cross the road, that car is coming too fast. Don't jump in that water, you're not a good swimmer and you don't know how deep that water is. You guys, it can be, and sometimes is indeed, a life-saving voice. There are going to be those times in life, though, when you're thinking, oh boy, I didn't see that happening, or I didn't think things could be quite that bad, right? And then, why does that happen? Maybe it's because you're turning that volume of that voice inside your head down a little bit because you really wanted to have that one more drink, even though you know that voice is going to tell you, no, no, don't do that. You really want to, I don't know, pull that prank on someone, even though that voice is telling you that just wouldn't be a nice thing to do. It could really hurt someone. You really want to, I don't know, push the envelope on something. You really want to let the world know that you are fed up with something. I promise you, if you leave the volume of that voice where it should be, and you just do this, you listen to that voice and you walk away, you will never regret that. So I break this down to what I call my top 5 digital dangers. Digital danger number 1 being this myth that there is privacy. Yes, we have a right to privacy in this culture, but in this day of digital everything, there is no privacy in that digital world. There's no privacy with your social media. There's no privacy with your emails. There's no privacy with your texting. That is absolutely a myth. And this woman will tell you all about that. So this woman, her name is Ashley. And this picture was taken when Ashley was on her dream vacation in Europe. So again, she's in her mid-20s, I believe. And yeah, she's having a good time. So she decides she's going to have this picture put up on her private Facebook page, very private Facebook page. I talked to her lawyer, and her lawyer says she was adamant about making sure her security levels were set to the highest degree possible. So she was very conscientious about this. And then after her vacation, she gets back to work. Anybody want to guess what her profession is? I always think this is funny because oftentimes people absolutely nail this. Anybody want to guess in the chat what she does? Well, she is a teacher. Kind of makes sense, right? She's got this teacher thing about her. She gets back to work and she's in the classroom. She gets called down to the principal's office and he shows her this picture and says, want to explain this? And she's shocked, first of all, that he even has it because he's not a friend on her Facebook page. And so she's thinking, what the heck happened here? And if her friends cannot share this picture, how would this picture have gotten to this principal? How? Anybody? Screenshots? Screenshots change the game. If we ever had anything that resembled privacy before, we absolutely do not now. Screenshots change the game. So either she had maybe a frenemy in her group of friends that screenshot that picture and somehow then it got back to the principal, or indeed her Facebook privacy settings failed her. She was fired. She was fired, and then she decided she was going to fight that, and she took it to court, and the court decided against her, saying 3 things here. She violated warnings against unacceptable online activities, even though she was just meant for her private group of friends, that she promoted alcohol use in this picture, and that her page apparently contained profanity when you look through it a little bit further. So she will be sure to tell you there is absolutely no privacy online. And how is she going to get another job herself when this is part of her forever and for all to see? I understand that she actually did go back to school, back to college, and she went on to another career, which is apparently she's extremely happy with. So something to consider for sure. So that is digital danger number 1. It is indeed this myth that there's privacy. And you know, you don't even have to actually put one of your pictures up on any kind of social media or share it anywhere for your pictures essentially to be shared, because as soon as you snap a picture, for most of us, those pictures, they go up into your cloud, whatever your cloud may be. And clouds have been hacked into too. So what was meant to be so private could end up being so public. There were a couple of A-list stars who found out about that not long ago when a cloud was hacked into and a bunch of nude pictures were released of some of these stars. Digital danger number 2, pictures and posts we can control. And never before then have we had such power to sabotage ourselves in a virtual split second as we do today, especially with these things when we're doing this. Smile, yeah. When we are doing selfies. And listen, I get selfies. Selfies can be fun. Most of us take part in selfies to some degree. But here's the thing with selfies or any pictures or posts you allow yourself to be part of that you control, because we control so little in our lives. Take inventory. What's going on in the background of the picture? 3 levels. What's going on in the background of the picture? Are there a bunch of empty beer bottles back there? Wine bottles? Is there a political sign you don't want to be affiliated with? Is there a sign advertising a t-shirt contest you don't want to be affiliated with? Number 2, what are other people doing in your picture that could be a poor reflection on you? So are there people guzzling alcohol in your picture with you? Are there people giving questionable hand gestures? You know that saying, guilty by association. What are other people doing in your picture that could be a poor reflection on you? And number 3, what are you doing that could be misinterpreted? That picture of Ashley, she's got wine in one hand and she's got beer in the other, and it's pretty doubtful that she is drinking both of them, but you never know. You don't want to leave it open for misinterpretation. Pictures and posts we can control. So I want to take a look at a few pictures, and maybe if you could in the chat, tell me some of the words that come to mind, because again, pictures are worth 1,000 words. So what are some of the words that come to mind with some of these pictures? And of course, I've obscured some of the faces of these people, ironically, for their privacy. So maybe some of the words that come to mind when you see this picture with this caption: first one's almost gone, can't wait for the next one. Any words that come to mind to you when you see this? How about, okay, this guy's a drinker. How about maybe, yeah, this guy's kind of on a mission, a partier, sure, loves his booze, some things like that would certainly come to mind when you see this picture. And you know, I know this guy, and he's really not that much of a drinker. In fact, he's a hardworking guy who deserved this vacation. He's on his first day of vacation, and like so many of us on that first day of vacation, what do? We belly up to the bar and enjoy that first celebratory drink. Nothing wrong with that. But when you start to put pictures up like this with a caption like this, now you're sending out a heck of a message, setting yourself up for possible trouble down the road, or complications, or maybe losing out on opportunities that you should get. So maybe he's looking for another job, a new job, and a potential employer finds this picture with this caption, might say, I've had trouble with drinking employees before, not going to do this. What about if he's on the dating scene? You could easily see how it could be a red flag for a potential date. Here's the deal with pictures involving alcohol. And I know a lot of people who do it, and I get it. You know, alcohol is so photogenic, isn't it? We got our beautiful martini glasses and our wine glasses and cool beer mugs like that. And really, when you're putting a picture out there and you're enjoying a beverage, it's kind of showing the world you're having fun, and that's a pretty interesting image to put out there. But if you have too many of them, here is the problem. Big, big danger. What happens if you get pulled over for DUI? And maybe you're not even really drunk. What happens if you're in a bitter custody battle? What happens if, well, maybe you are in a bitter divorce? I guarantee you the people on the other side are going to go find pictures like this, and they are going to use them against you, because pictures involving alcohol, pictures and posts online can be used against you, can be used as evidence in a court of law. So something to certainly consider when you're taking those pictures with alcohol. I have a friend, and no matter what I say, she's not going to listen to me. So I get it. Everybody's got their own beliefs and their own, fun ways on their social media. I certainly get that. What comes to mind when you see this picture? This is a very interesting Instagram account. This young lady just graduated from college. So what are some of the words that are coming to mind when you see this picture? Smart, educated, on her way, things like that, maybe? Sure. And then she's got this picture. She played volleyball while she was in college. So what? Athlete, team player, anything else? Anyone else? Things like that. And then we have this picture. And she's with her grandparents when she graduated from high school. So maybe words like wholesome or, a family girl, love. Those are all great pictures. And this is a great image. I love seeing this. And I hire people, at least I did before COVID. And this would certainly be someone that I would consider hiring. But then, you guys, you go a little bit deeper into her Instagram picture, into her Instagram account, and you see this. Okay. And you see this. And then you see this. All right. All right. Now, I am absolutely no one to judge. I'll be the first one to say that. And she's beautiful. But unless an employer is looking for a lingerie model or something with a lot of sex appeal, she could be costing herself some great opportunity, because a lot of employers are going to pass on that for a number of reasons. A lot of employers will look at your social media before they even consider that resume and all those good things that you have out there. And that is pretty alarming. In fact, a survey by careerbuilder.com estimated 70% of employers actually vet their candidates by going through their social media. And 54% admitted that they passed on candidates because of questionable pictures that were provocative, pictures involving alcohol, and some other things. So that is certainly something to consider. More pictures. This one, okay. I have to laugh at this one, and I'm sure you will too. Key West, IP and pools. Oh, let me tell you, Key West can be a dangerous spot. And then she confirms that. She says, when I'm in Key West, IP and pools. Oh, come on. And you look at this picture and you can see it's just kind of lighthearted and she's probably just having a good time. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you put this up there for a forever and for all to see, here's what could happen. Say she's a teacher. I use teachers a lot because we can all relate to teachers. We're all familiar with them. We all had them. Some of you are teachers. And of course, all of our kids have teachers, part of our world. So say she's a teacher and she's applying for a job and she's the perfect candidate. And the principal or superintendent goes through all of her credentials, her resume and everything, and it looks wonderful. What happens when that principal comes across this picture? When I bring this presentation to high schools, I almost always have the principal in the presentation, and I always ask him or her, what would you do? Every one of them said, I will pass on this candidate. And it's not because this really says anything much about her character, and it's not because, yeah, who doesn't enjoy having a little fun and a little joking around? The problem is it could go deeper. What if they hire her, and then she has a big problem with a student, a big problem with a parent, a big problem with another faculty member? Those people are certainly going to go do some research on this person that they have this vendetta against. And when they find this picture, they're going to take it to the principal and they're going to say, what the heck were you thinking? And the principal does not need headaches like that. So this would raise a red flag, as innocent as it can be. When it becomes a forever and for all to see, there's a lot of risk involved in it. And then this next picture, oh, okay, this picture breaks my heart. This is in a little town called Baraboo, Wisconsin. And all of these kids, they're juniors and they're on their way to their junior prom. And this dad asks them to line up here in front of the courthouse. We're going to take a great picture. And right before they snap the picture, they were all asked to give the Nazi salute. Yeah, and they do it. So now this picture is going to be attached to all of these young men forever and for all to see. And if you zoom in close enough, you can pretty much identify them. Pretty sad, huh? When I was going to speak in a town near Baraboo, someone alerted me to this situation. And even though it had been about a year later, the dad who took this picture got in big trouble and he took it down off of all of his social media. But again, even a year later, it took me a split second to find this because it went so viral that it will be out there. Again, forever attached to these young men. Now there's this one man, young man up there, you see up in the right-hand corner, he's not doing it. And I believe he was interviewed and he said, well, you know, I didn't want to be part of this. It all happened so fast, I couldn't get out of there. Well, how many times are we in situations where cameras come out and lots of pictures are being taken and you don't really want to be associated with this situation? you got to get your face out of that situation. You turn around, you duck, you leave. Just don't want to be part of situations like that. So, and I know that you guys know that these pictures, of course, are mild compared to what's out there, but I would be remiss if I didn't just touch on this subject coming up. And I'm sure most of you have nothing to do with it. Some of you might tinker in a little bit or know someone who does. And that is sexting. Yes, sexting. So sexting was a big deal before COVID, but then when COVID hit, it became a huge craze because people could not get together anymore. We can't touch each other. We can't get close to each other. So people are finding other ways to do some things. And it's taking place with everyone from, well, tweens to those who are seniors. Certainly unfortunate with tweens, and in a way, a little unfortunate with seniors too. And I can say that because I'm, of course, closer to that latter group. I'm not going to talk about anyone under 18 taking part in sexting. It's a crime, and it's a whole different topic. But I want to talk about adults who, these are posts and pictures they can control, who take part in this. And I understand the fascination. And some people will say, oh, come on, it's just adding a little spark to this relationship, a little fun. What it is doing actually is like playing with fire. There are so many risks involved with sexting. And I'm just going to hit on the top two real quickly here, the two that I see. Viral-bility. You know, if any pictures that end up in the wrong hands, pictures involving nudity, they're going to go viral first, and they're going to go viral fast. Why? Makes sense, because there's nudity, right? And nudity, sensuality, sexuality, all things we are all interested in as humans. We can't help it. That's why we're all here, because of those things, correct? So how do these pictures get in the wrong hands? Well, how about if the devices used to take the pictures, or the devices where those pictures are received, get stolen, lost, or hacked into? What about a laptop getting stolen, lost, or hacked into? There was a story a few years ago of a female judge, and she and her husband, they were playing around with some risque pictures, and she had them stored on her laptop at home. And her teenage kids had a party at the house, and apparently one of the friends decided they're going to hack into the computer and found those pictures. And those pictures went viral immediately. It can happen to anybody. And then there's also the idea that, so if you're sexting with someone, obviously you completely trust this person, but relationships do go bad. And if someone is feeling jilted when a relationship goes bad, what better way to get even than to spread and share these intimate pictures? And it happens all the time. It's called revenge porn. I prefer to call it image abuse. And it is actually ruining lives, destroying lives, and even taking lives. So it gets very serious. The second big risk with sexting, and a lot of people don't think about this, is porn potential. Yeah, you guys know there are double and triple X-rated porn sites out there, and they are constantly, they have some very savvy tech people are constantly searching cyber for skin. And when they find that, they put those pictures up on that site, as much information as they can get about that person. They include their name, their address, their age, where they're from, all of that. And once those pictures are up there, good luck getting them down. Now, some people might say, well, hey, if I'm just, sexting, having a little fun with my spouse, my partner, what if I just take from the neck down? It would make sense, right? But here's the thing. In so many ways, technology is smarter than us. And in every image, every picture you take, there is a code embedded that will track it back to the device where it was taken from. If that's your cell phone, then it tracks it back to you. And that's how information is often found out. There are ways, from what I understand, to wipe all that information. But again, you have to be pretty tech savvy for that. And some say then you just do it that way, but I will always say there is no such thing as safe sexting. And I have a whole 13-page guide on that you are welcome to download for free off of my website on the front page. So pictures and posts we control. This woman knows all about it. She was a teacher in upstate New York. She was getting dressed one morning a few years ago, took a nudie of herself, sent it to her boyfriend, texted it to her boyfriend. Years go by, nothing happens with it, and then suddenly A few of her students have it. 3 years later, then more of her students have it. Then faculty has it. Now the whole community has it, and it went viral, and she was fired. And of course she says, this is crazy. This is unfair. And it is unfair. Of course it is unfair, but there's so little room. There's so little difference between our personal lives and our private lives right now. They just kind of mesh, don't they? And so she was fired, and it went viral, and she is suing for multi-million-dollar lawsuit, which maybe this was the best thing that ever happened to her. But as far as I know, this is her naked nightmare. This is her forever and for all to see for now. Pictures and posts we can control. Also something to remember is that we are all so interconnected, uber connected, hyper connected, that everything you do out there online, well, it could affect those you love. It could affect other people in your world, your workplace, your colleagues, all of that. I'm gonna tell you a quick story about a man, a television anchor. He was, for some reason, he decided he was going to tweet a picture of male genitalia. Was it his own? I don't know. But he tweeted it, and it ended up getting shared and went viral. So now his dream job is in jeopardy, but worse, he has an 18-year-old son. And that son is having some tough times. And now, can you imagine the son's humiliation? That son was found dead in his bedroom a couple days after all this happened. It was a drug overdose, but of course there was a lot of speculation. Did this humiliation of what his dad did come back and do that to him, make him say, I can't even take anymore? Pictures and posts we can control. Now, there's pictures and posts we can't control. Let me start with surveillance real quickly first. How many times do you think that you are on camera, that you are making some kind of a cameo on a security camera throughout your day, regular day? You go to work, you drop the kids off at school, you go to lunch, you pick up dry cleaning, all those things. How many times do you think you are actually on camera? Any guesses? Anybody? It is estimated 75 times. So that pretty much means anytime you are outside the safe four walls of your own house, you can consider that you're on camera. And we need security video, don't we? We absolutely need security video. We need to be able to track the bad guys. We need to figure out exactly what happened. And we see surveillance video being used all the time on TV news. You know why? Because there are no regulations with surveillance video or surveillance pictures. Once it happens in public, it is fair game, which means, say, you're at a gas station and a guy, you're bending over and you're putting some air in the tire and you're so caught up in that task at hand that you're showing a little too much behind. And maybe, a woman's skirt goes flying up, or someone takes a big fall in that parking lot, something really embarrassing. Yeah, really embarrassing. And you are now at the mercy of whoever is in charge of that security camera that caught that moment. How about that? So if someone is really looking for social media gold, that's what I call it, social media gold, and they come across one of those moments, there's nothing stopping them from putting that picture up there or that video up there. Something to think about when you are out in public, that you're always on camera, and all of that kind of stuff could come up back and, well, torment you years down the road, if not days down the road. Pictures and posts we can control. And then there's this, we are always, all of us, we're walking around with our cell phones, holding our cell phones up, pointing them in certain directions. Other people are pointing their cell phones maybe in our directions. You never know when someone is looking at you as a social media gold moment for them. My husband and I, we were in Nashville, and we came across these two young women, two sisters, and they were having a blast. One of them was clearly very drunk, and she starts dancing wildly on the sidewalk in front of us. Lewd gestures, profanity, a heck of a show. Kind of reminded me of that show I put on in Key West. So in a bit of a panic, I turned to the less drunk sister and I said, "You've got your hands full." Before I could say another word, though, the dancing sister, she stops and she snaps at me and she says, "You only live once." Arm in arm, they go walking down the sidewalk, as do so many of those cell phones pointing in the direction, following them. What are people going to do with those pictures and those that video they're taking of those young women who apparently weren't using that little voice inside their head that tells them, maybe we shouldn't quite do this? Well, they're probably going to post that video or their pictures on social media and say, hey, look at the crazy time we're having here in Nashville, or just even enjoy the show these women are putting on. It's kind of funny. And what's to prevent those images from catching up with those women down the road and taking away a lot of opportunity or causing them a great deal of grief? You guys, I was 1,400 miles away from home with my situation, and it was before social media. It only took, what, 9 to 10 months to catch up with me. You don't have to go viral globally like I did. All you have to do is go viral in your own little world with these poor decisions that you're not even thinking about that could turn your world upside down for years to come, maybe even forever. Okay, so pictures and posts, we cannot control. Something to think about. Again, a reminder to just use that voice inside your head when it tells you don't do something, don't do something. And I am not against having fun. I believe we should all have fun. And I'm not telling anybody to do something or not to do something. What I'm just saying is just we need to have a heightened awareness about the potential, because there are too many stories every day we hear of people suffering because they didn't use that little voice inside their head, because they weren't quite aware of all the new dangers that are out there when we're in this day of digital everything. It is a new reality, and it's going so much faster than we are. So that's why I want to share all of this information. All right, and digital danger number 4 is written words. As much as, you know, pictures are worth 1,000 words. Oh, those written words, they can be serious stuff too. And especially right now, you know, usually when it's just written words, or we're just tweeting something, or we're texting something, or emailing something, oftentimes it's because we're pretty emotional about something. We have something we really want to share. And oftentimes those are moments that we want to share anger, frustration, some of the bad stuff, especially in this day of such social unrest and political craziness and COVID. We've got a lot of things to say. So it's so easy to want to comment on what you see and you disagree with, but all you have to do is comment strongly enough, saying things that maybe you wouldn't have normally said, but you just couldn't take it anymore. We're all human, right? And then someone catches on to that little thing that you said, and then they share it with more people, and they share it with more people, and now it's all over the place. And now those words are your forever and for all to see. Cleveland Cavaliers, 2016, yay, big championship. Finally, Cleveland gets to shine. So does Cleveland media. On the day of the parade, it was so exciting for all of us in the media, because it was indeed our time to show the world what we could do too. So we had extended newscasts, extra programming during that parade day. And it could be an Emmy Award winning opportunity for all of us, on the air, behind the scenes, all of that. And so we are all psyched. For one producer, his show fell flat. Everything he did went wrong. He could not get a break. He was furious. Just words. By the end of the day, he decided that he needed to put this up on his Facebook page. And of course, I've obscured anything that would identify him. Just words. What was supposed to be the most amazing day of my life and career turned into the worst. I will never forgive those responsible. #revenge. This guy is actually a friend of mine. And it was awful when he put this up, because what happened to him? He don't put #revenge up there. Not today. He was fired. And now this is part of his forever and for all to see. And he's never been able to get a job back in TV news. He's gone on and he's captured another career. But just words stuck to him, again, forever and for all to see. And then there was a case, it was a global case when Twitter first came out, of a woman who was, her name is Justine Sacco. Maybe some of you are familiar with that name. She was an up-and-coming public relations star. She was in, I believe, her late 20s, early 30s, and she was going on a vacation to Africa. And she decided during her layover in London, she was going to tweet this. I know, I'm sure you're all taking a big gasp here if you're not familiar with this. And she turns her cell phone off when she gets to Africa. Of course, her Twitter account is blowing up. And there are people there at the airport wanting to confront her. And she gets fired immediately, and her world goes tumbling down. And it wasn't until just recently she was able to get another job. And this was some time ago. And of course, I'm on the set reading this story because it was made news globally. And I'm thinking, what was she thinking? Well, when she finally got a chance to do an interview and explain it, she was writing this mocking anyone who would believe something like this. She was being facetious, sarcastic, whatever you want to call it, and was beside herself that anyone would think that she would actually think this way. But when we're just using words with anything digital, we've got to make sure there's no ambiguity. We've got to make sure, use that voice inside your head. If there is something, these words could be misread somehow, have someone else read it first to make sure that you don't get yourself into a heck of a lot of trouble. Just words, written words. Calling out or shaming anybody. Finally, digital danger number 5, calling out or shaming anybody. It's so easy for us when we see someone doing something we don't approve of, or there's something going on that we don't like. Well, we'll post about it. We'll put a picture of it. We'll post a comment about it. That'll teach them. That'll change things. You guys, unless it is someone who's committing a crime or someone who's hurting someone else, or an animal, of course, calling out or shaming anybody for anything is absolutely like bullying. And sometimes it's being done because you just want to have fun with someone and you want to get that social media goal because you see something going on that might embarrass someone, or because you want to fix something. If you feel if you call it out, you're going to fix it. This man who loved his little community, a small suburb, maybe similar to one of the beautiful suburbs we have in Cleveland. So proud of it. And then this restaurant moves in and he finds it has terrible service and terrible product. And he's very angry about this. And he goes to management again and again. Nothing gets done. It's always awful. And he thinks it's a poor reflection on his community, that it could bring his little community down somehow. So he decides, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in and I'm going to record. I'm going to take my cell phone. I'm going to record the whole transaction. And he does. He records it. Yeah, bad service, poor product, whatever. He decides to tell the woman who's waiting on him exactly how he feels, so kind of berates her. And now he's got it. He's going to put it up on social media, share it with the world. Maybe that'll get the attention of whoever is needed to know about how bad this place is, that things will finally change. What happened to him? He was considered absolutely a bully. People were so angry that he was a poor reflection on their town that he actually had to move out. Yeah, he was gone. Another story. I'm on my way to work. Working morning show, 4:30 in the morning it begins, means I had to be on the road by 2:30 in the morning. I always go through my favorite donut and coffee shop. And this one morning in particular, I was running a little bit late. And so I decided, I'm just going to go through anyway. And I go through, I place my order, and there's usually no one in that drive-through at 2:30 in the morning. I place my order, I pull around, and I see there's a car in the drive-through lane. No one at the window, just this police cruiser sitting in this drive-through lane. He's not moving. And I'm thinking, I don't have time for this. So I'm using the voice inside my head, not going to honk at the police officer. I decide instead I'm going to slowly work my way around him. I'm not going to look at him because I can give her a very annoyed look. And when I get to the window, I ask the woman, what is going on here? And she says, I don't know. His order's been here for 10 minutes. I'm not allowed to leave here and I can't see around. What do you see? I look in the rearview mirror. I see this officer with his head slumped back and his mouth wide open. I get out and run back to his police cruiser. The cruiser is running still. The window is down. And all of a sudden I hear this all too familiar noise that I hear in my bedroom every night. Snoring. Police officer at a donut shop, sleeping, snoring in his car. Oh my goodness. I wake him up. He's embarrassed and startled, and he thanks me. And I remind him to remember this next time he pulls me over, when I'm not using that little voice inside my head when it comes to speeding. And as I pull away, I realize he was so sound asleep. What if I would have taken a picture of him? What if I would have recorded video? And what if I would have put it up on the internet for the world to see? What would have happened to him? He would have certainly lost his job, wouldn't you think? And then what happens? A little unrest at home? And then what happens if he can't find another job? And the humiliation And this would certainly make news as well. Now he'll always be known as a police officer who fell asleep at a donut shop. And you just never know the whole story that's going on here. The next day I drove through and I said, so what did you find out? What happened with this police officer? She said, he was sick and he took some medication that just knocked him out. And yeah, he was embarrassed. So hopefully he used that voice inside of his head and he went home and got some rest and took care of himself. But you just never know, what is going on with other people. And it's really about being kind online and having some respect. And I say it comes down to one word to make sure that you are not a bully, because once you're a bully, you are absolutely always a bully. And one thing that heartens me about this bullying culture is we don't tolerate it. And yeah, what comes around, or what goes around comes around. So one way to make sure that you are never hurting anybody, even if you don't mean it and you don't see it happening at all, that word consent is so important. Consent to take a picture of anybody, and consent number 2, to put that picture up or to say anything about anyone without their consent. So, and I know you guys, a lot of this information you are probably very familiar with. And I hope maybe I'm just giving you a little different perspective on it, a little more, raising a little bit of awareness about how we have to certainly be so mindful and so vigilant in this day of digital everything, some things that maybe you didn't think about. And, maybe some of you are thinking about some pictures or posts that you put out there, or that a loved one put out there that could be questionable and could cause them grief down the road. No one wants that. Here's 2 things. Let me tell you 2 actionable steps you can take. Number 1, of course, delete those pictures or posts, and ask others to delete them who might also have posted them or have possession of them. Number 2, and this is the most important step, for every picture and post you delete because they're questionable, replace them with 5 to 10 good pictures or posts you want people to know about you, and you want people to say about you and believe about you in this world. So what you're doing is, even though you hit delete with the other stuff, it's never really gone. But when you're populating the rest of your social media with all the good stuff, that populating stuff, and tag yourself along the way, pushes all that other stuff out further into cyberspace, which means further out into your Google search. And when you Google something, it's rare you go past 2 pages. So that's a way to protect yourself. There's also a company called reputationdefender.com, a couple other companies that are really big on helping people fix their online image. They change algorithms and so forth. All right, you guys, as much as I am about getting that message out, that it is forever and for all to see, as much as I'm about nobody is immune, despite all that, more so I am about it is survivable. Online cruelty, cyber humiliation, digital disaster, all of that, whether you bring it on yourself like I did, or you happen to be a target of it, a random target of it, I am living proof it is indeed survivable. And when I look back in retrospect at how I was able to rise above, how I was able to survive, I bring it down to what I call my PACT strategy. And it's pretty simple. P is for people. Yes, turn to your people you love and you trust when you're going through something really tough, including anything online. They are there for you. We are there for each other. And they might have a different perspective or a solution that might change everything for you. Your people, they're your army. My army, I always say, is my faith, family, and friends. Maybe your army is that one person that you trust. That one person, that's your army, and it can be a life-saving army. Go to your people with any time you're dealing with hardships. They are there for you. Some people think it'll be too embarrassing or they could make the situation worse. I strongly disagree. A, abandon. Heck yeah, get off that platform that's sending that cruelty your way. Shoot, get away from that social group that's causing you any kind of grief. Abandon, step away. I guarantee you, the more you expose yourself to cruelty and unkindness coming your way, the worse it's going to seem unnecessarily, especially online. It can be so brainwashing if you sit there and watch what people are saying to you. Get away from it. Go spend time with your people. Go for a run. Go do something fun. Go into the real world. Abandon that platform or that situation that is hurting you. C, connect with professionals who kind of understand this, who've been through it, including myself. There's such a huge movement online to help people who are enduring cyber cruelty rise above it. There are so many anti-bullying sites online, and bullying knows no age group. Cyberbullying, it's not just for kids anymore. Adults are dealing with it a lot too. There is a big trend of cyberbullying and bullying and antagonizing taking place in the workplace right now, especially with all this frustration. So yes, connect with professionals, connect with counselors, connect with police, connect with lawyers, because there are certainly some degrees of bullying and cyberbullying that are absolutely considered a crime. And finally, this is my favorite. This too shall pass. I'm just about done, but I'm hoping that maybe you will indulge me. So I'm asking you, Elizabeth, if you would please let everybody turn on their microphones, and it would be so fine if you guys would all actually as well. Let me see you. Let me see you. Turn on your video. There we go, Jerry. Thank you. I see you. Jacqueline, you've been with me the whole time. Anita, I appreciate that. Marjorie, Connie, yes, I know you're there, Yolanda. Thank you so much, everybody. It's just such a pleasure. So let me go back to this. This too shall pass, my favorite saying in the world. On the count of 3, would you please say this too shall pass with me? Okay, and 1, 2, 3. This
too shall pass.
Absolutely. You guys are exactly what I knew you would be. You are rock stars. I so appreciate your time. The reality is that digital danger is out there. It's for real, and it is pretty scary, but just like every other danger that we deal with, you guys, the more we know about it, the more we are vigilant about it, the less likely we are, our friends and family are, less likely our businesses to fall victim to it, and the more likely we are all to go and rise up and capture those hopes and dreams uninterrupted, as it should be. Again, my name is Catherine Bosley. You can find me on my website, catherinebosley.com. I invite you to watch my TEDx talk, and I'm on all social media, and I'm always happy to correspond with any followers. So I'm going to open it up right now, though, to questions. Anybody? Anybody have any questions? One of the biggest questions I get usually is, so if you could go back and do it all over again, would you have taken part in Key West? And there was, many years where I would say, oh my gosh, absolutely not. But today, now that I found my voice with this, and now that I know and truly believe that I am making a difference, I guess I would say no, I wouldn't go back and change it. My biggest regret, of course, is all of the agony that it has caused those people that I love. But aside from that, I'd say, you know what? I was meant to have this voice. I was meant to address this issue. So, so that's one of the biggest questions I get. Anybody else have any questions?
What would you say about young women today in college who don't post anything, but are out in parties and let their guards down and just want to have fun and just appreciate the moment? Like I'm in my mid-40s, so I have a daughter in college. And, I'm always after her, please, be aware of your surroundings. Do not post this. Make sure, you have a camera on you all times.
All times.
So that's a big, I know certain things look bad and it's done in innocence, or it's done, people misconstrue it, or, so I'm always telling her, be careful of the image you're portraying out there, because everyone has their own interpretation about what's going on in your life.
So true.
What's happening in your life, and they have a negative perspective on life. They're going to see everything negative, and they're going to point out only the negative things in your life. So
there is that, isn't there?
Yeah, that's so hard to deal with. What would you say to young women out there, especially women? It seems like it's more on women.
It is more on women, and someone mentioned that in the chat. Yeah, women. You know what? Yeah, sure. Men have this too. And with men, it's a lot of drinking, and it's still for some reason, a man can get up on a bar and dance naked, and, it probably wouldn't be so impactful for him, but it might be. Times are changing, and I think that we are starting to see a little bit more equality coming with that. Men are expected to behave better like women are, but it's just not quite there yet. So I care about women most because I am a woman and I see it happening to women most. So when someone said it in the, someone said something in the chat about, what about men? Well, yeah. Oh, here we go. Do men face the same level of scrutiny? Not quite. I don't think quite. And I think that's a shame. But we got to protect ourselves, ladies. We need to protect ourselves and each other. And we need to tell our daughters, Jacqueline, go share my TEDx talk with your daughter. And of course, I speak at colleges and I speak to high schools. And I think truly there is a difference. I will go through anybody's social media with them, their Instagram accounts, and I will tell you if I see something that could be alarming or could be misinterpreted or could just really be so taken out of context. So I gladly do that as well. It's one of the services I offer. But yes, tell your daughter, this is forever and for all to see what she's doing out there. And people are always have their cameras on them. And people who want to, well, bring other people down. We know that there's those people in the world. I believe mostly people are good, but you always got those bad apples out there who are going to take your daughter down, Jacqueline, who are going to look for bad things, any kind of vulnerable moments that she would have. And so that is something to think about. Just keep on her about it's forever and for all to see. Yeah, and I'll be glad there to help in any way I can. Feel free to reach out to me through my website, through Elizabeth or wherever else. I'd be glad to help you a little bit more with that. Yeah, anybody else? How did they put your name to the video recording? I believe, Connie put this out there, I believe that someone in TV news at a competing television station in Youngstown who subscribes strongly to anything pornographic, a certain producer, I believe he came across it. And here's the thing. During this wet t-shirt contest, all the women were asked to give their names and the colleges that they went to. And I was well out of college. So I'm like, well, I'll just play along and I'll say I'm Kathy. Everybody knows me as Catherine. So I'm too honest. And I went to Kent State. And so I said, I'm Kathy from Kent. So there you go. And if someone wondered if that was me exactly, and honestly, my face is so puffed up because I'm on so much prednisone. Some of you might be familiar with the whole moon face thing that I don't know if I used a different name, if I was Sarah from Oregon, maybe it would not have come back and got me, but I think that that's what happened. I think that that's what happened. So someone says, does anyone else cover their laptop camera when you're not Zooming? I always cover my camera. I have this little thing, my speaking agent, Rebel Events. So it's a little slider. So you can put it on your, up against your laptop and keep it like this over your camera. And then when you wanted to Zoom, you just open it up like that. So it's easy enough. But I truly believe that how many times have you been talking about, going to a certain pizza place or something, and then you open up your phone and you go to Google something and suddenly this pizza place comes up? These are a problem. All of it is a problem. We have no privacy. And the day we believe that we do is often going to be the day, and we trust, the day that you could get in such trouble. And I just hate to see when that's happening. Anybody else? I love Mike G. Will says, don't be afraid to get involved and protect others. It's not meddling, it takes a village. I'm meddling and I'm trying to help take a village. Yes, we just need to be so careful. And if you don't speak up, another speech I give is called finding your inner strength and making it count. And so much of finding our inner strength comes from going through tough times. And when you go through those tough times, we learn things. And you can't just learn things and keep it to yourself. We got to go make those things count. We got to build this village together. And so when you go through tough times, I so encourage you to reach out and help others with the information that you learn through going through what you went through. And that's a whole different speech that I give. Anybody else? I want to tell you that I would love to keep in touch with all of you. And if you opt in, Elizabeth and Jordan, I think they're going to send you an email, a recording of this. And if you want to opt in, that would be wonderful. I have these yo-yos forever and for all to see. They're yo-yos because the idea is that when you put it out there, you can expect it to come back. You might have seen Duncan in some of my slides. Duncan Yo-Yos sponsors me slightly. And I've got lots of yo-yos, and it's so funny because when I take these to schools, the kids are interested. You know, they're just used to playing their games on video. They're not used to these things. And the principals and teachers are so excited to get these because they know them, you know, and so they start playing with them and showing the kids how to use them. So yo-yos can be a lot of fun. And if you opt in, I will send you a yo-yo, and so be so glad to have you on my email list as well.
How do I opt in? I think I joined a couple of minutes late, so I don't know how to do that.
They're going to send you an email, right,
Okay.
Elizabeth?
Yes, we are going to send you a follow-up email to this presentation, and it'll have an option to opt in.
Okay.
Have your yo-yo sent.
Yeah, okay. No, I mean, it was an interesting talk, so, you know,
Good.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Very good. Very good. Okay, Elizabeth?
Well, a big thank you to you, Catherine. I know we all got some very good tips, and we're all better armed to hopefully keep ourselves out of cyber disaster now. And thank you everyone for joining us. Be sure to check csualumni.com for upcoming events. Our next edition of the Women's Leadership Lunch Series will feature Ohio Supreme Court Justice Melody Stewart on October 22nd. And thank you so much again to Catherine for kicking this off for us. It was a wonderful talk.
My pleasure. Happy homecoming week, everybody.
Happy homecoming.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.